It's very nice to be thought of as being pretty, as being, it's a plus. It's nice. It's not terribly important, but it is nice to have it in your favor.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here, and I really do appreciate your time. So I wanted to come on here and give my commentary on this clip that I saw on Actually Julie's channel, where she was discussing, whether or not black men hate their natural hair too. Now, I thought that this video was interesting because there's a young lady who made a TikTok video, and apparently her first video went viral. I did type in her TikTok handle and I couldn't find it, so I don't know if she's maybe changed her handle or maybe privated her handle. I'm not sure. I'm not really familiar with how TikTok goes. I'm not on TikTok. But I did try to find her first video, but apparently the first video that she made that went viral, she was discussing how certain black women will hide their hair with wigs and weaves and all types of other extensions because they don't like their hair. They want to avoid their hair. And I really, really do appreciate this conversation that's going on now across socials. I know a lot of other women will scoff at it and roll their eyes and say, oh my God, why are we talking about this? It's not important. Why can't y'all let black women do what we want to do? Like, I understand all of that. Trust me. But the real issue is that whether or not you want to be obtuse or you want to try to downplay it as a way to not address or even be critical of some of the things that you think or feel about your own hair, it's still definitely an important, meaningful topic. Like, given the history of how, many black women feel about their hair, the relationship that we have to our natural hair, I think that these type of conversations are growing in popularity because more and more people are starting to, wake up and pick up on the fact that this is becoming a growing issue and that it's not something that you can necessarily sweep under the rug because you think it's stupid or because you think it's silly. So I'm going to play her clip and then I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
The post that I made about black women hating their hair reached 1 million likes and almost 9 million views. Did not expect that. I was literally just ranting in my bonnet in my room. A lot of black men were under that post and they were like, yeah, see, we told you, we've been saying it for 30 years, we've been saying it, Y'all are like huddling up in my comments like you're safe. You're not safe at all. First of all, you cut your hair within a half of centimeters so that your curl patterns don't show. And when you do get a curl pattern, you keep it short as hell and you call it waves. And then you shame each other for having waves. Y'all have a whole wave hierarchy. Whoever has the looser, smoother waves have the nicer waves, and the guys with the tighter waves are uglier. Y'all do the same shit. Y'all just don't slap a wig on. Y'all call it a lineup. Yeah. I hate that people thought that post was a safe space to hate on black women because that was not the point of the post. That was not the point of the post. And my sisters in Christ did tell me, the girl, that is what's going to happen. And I understand. I'm sorry. I do apologize. But there were a lot of people in that comment section who also, understood the assignment. It's not about the self-hate. It's not about what you choose to do with your hair. It's about why you are taking your self-hate and pushing it onto other women and demonizing them and making them feel bad for not hating themselves just because you do. Just because you hide under a wig and you're hiding under a wig because you're public about hiding under a wig. I'm not pushing anything on anybody. I'm not putting any words in anybody's mouth. My post was about those comments where those girls were literally saying, yeah, I wear this wig to cover up my yucky hair. So if I'm wearing this wig to cover up my yucky hair, why the fuck would I slap yucky hair on top of my yucky hair that I'm trying to cover up and hide and conceal? That's what they were saying in the comments. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about whether wigs are self-hating or not. Because you can wear wigs and you can experiment with your hair, different colors, textures, stuff. You can experiment with your hair and not hate your hair. You can experiment with your hair and love your hair underneath. I wasn't talking to those girls. Those girls were in the comments. The girls who hate type 4 hair, who hate 4C hair, those were the girls in the comments. Those were the girls I was talking to. And those are the girls that need prayer. And to the black men who think they were safe, because not every dude, but almost every dude that was low-key leaving hate, when I checked their page, fade, smooth, bald, fade, crispy lineup. And I'm not gonna lie, that is y'all's version of a lace front, because the week that you miss a haircut, what are you doing? You're hiding. The week that you miss a haircut, you're not stepping out of your house without a hat. The week that you miss a haircut, it's not because, oh, my cut ain't fresh, it's because those naps are showing. It's because those curls are curling. It's because you got BWs at the back of your neck and you think they're ugly because you hate your hair.
Yeah, so I think that she made a lot of great points. I think a lot of the things that she said are absolutely factual in a matter of speaking. I do believe that there are Black men, obviously, who are suffering from the same anti-blackness, the same, lack of self-love. I won't immediately say self-hate. Sometimes it's not always as simple as self-hate, or it's not always as, total encompassing as self-hate is. Self-hate is more of a person who hates every Black feature about themselves. And so they strategically find ways to change their appearance to be around more white people. Their goal is to achieve whiteness in a much more blatant and unabashed way. Whereas I think people who distinctly dislike their hair, it's more about lack of understanding, lack of knowledge, lack of effort they desire to put forth, as well as being brainwashed by general beauty standards that don't hold space for their natural hair. And in this day and age, a lot of that has to do with what I always say in my videos: what you allow to influence you. See, because we're not in the early 2000s or the 90s or the 80s, you're not being bombarded by media messaging that you didn't in some way, shape, or form agree to, right? So you're not seeing it in magazines or being forced to watch music videos or seeing it in movies. Most of the things that we view, consume, expose ourselves to are curated by what we watch, what we click on, the algorithms that we tell, that we instruct. Yes, keep sending me this content. Yes, keep sending me these pictures. Yes, the truth of the matter is, a lot of times when people have really messed up beauty standards nowadays, what contributes to that is, like I said, what sort of content they consume daily. Because that will become what's normal to you. That will become what informs how you view the world. And so I think that goes for both men and women. And so, yes, I do believe there are Black men that are suffering from the same exact, what they now are calling hair hate. Yes, I don't know if it's in the same manner or if it's expressed in the same ways all the time. I would say maybe not, but I do believe that it definitely occurs. I can definitely share some of my experiences growing up. Over the years, I have had Black men make colorist and texturist comments to me. I actually had a guy I was considering talking to in my early 20s. He had did something I didn't like, and so we went on a date and he did something I didn't like. So needless to say, after that, encounter, I didn't, hit him up or really interact with him much after that. And so he didn't like that. And so when he inquired as to why he was dismissed, I basically, told him, like, I don't think we're compatible, thank you, but I would like to move on. He didn't like that. And so what does he begin to do, which is indicative of the character that I predicted and that I saw early on, thank God. But he started telling me that I wasn't all that I'm not as pretty as I think I am. Ultimately, although I have quote unquote good hair and I'm pretty, I'm still dark skinned, and no one wants dark skin, no one wants their child to be dark. This is what he told me. So I do think that specific aspect of it, of wanting your child to have certain features or not have certain features, is how Black men display their hatred towards themselves, like fully uncompensatingly, or in terms of their featureism concerning certain features or certain hair textures. Absolutely. I think a lot of times Black men will say, well, I think so-and-so is pretty, or I think, light skin, I think keen features or light eyes or loose wavy hair, is beautiful. So I would like my daughter to have those features. How do I get my daughter those features? Well, I procreate with the sort of woman, a certain race or certain ethnicity of a woman that will get my daughter those features. I don't feel a lot of times Black men want to share their features with their kids, especially when you're talking about their daughters. Maybe they feel a little differently with their sons, because Black men tend to adhere to the mindset that masculinity, is dark skin, it's kinky hair, is wide nose. It's like, yeah, I want to be masculine, so I want my son to be like me. I want my daughter to be feminine. So, do you understand what I'm saying? So I do think that that is something that Black men do and have perpetuated quietly, if not blatantly, for years. Now, concerning her comments about how Black men keep their haircuts low and why they do that to hide their texture or not show their texture, I can't say I fully agree with that sentiment or that statement or that take. And the reason why is, yes, I do think there is a possibility that that is the reason why certain Black men do it. But ultimately, I think it is a style in which Black men across the diaspora prefer to wear their hair in. So, again, based off of our gender socializing, I think a lot of Black men wear their hair low because that is the way they know to take care of their hair. It takes a lot of effort and knowledge for a man to grow his own hair long and take care of his own hair. Like the same amount of effort and knowledge it takes a woman to do, but it's just socially infrequent for a man to know how to do it. Like a lot of times when they do have long hair, it's being maintained by a woman, like a girlfriend, or they go to a stylist. So I just think that's more about gender socializing versus more of them somewhat, I guess, hating their hair to what they were cut it off or not show it. I think that it's also very different from the way Black women hide their hair, in the sense that, Black women will actually put on wigs that have hair texture that look nothing like theirs. And again, I know you could say, well, that also can be applied with gender socializing. And in a way, it does, because whether I like it or not, generally speaking, heterosexual men and heterosexual women have different grooming habits. But I still think there's a point in which Black men don't quite go overboard as much as Black women do. Whereas, you don't see Black men walking around with white men's textures on their hair or textures on their hair that doesn't look like theirs. That's generally speaking not something you're going to get from Black men. But like I said, again, that's why I use the phrasing how it shows up, because it may not show up with them wearing other, hair textures that don't look like theirs. But like I said, it can show up in who they date. It can show up in who they choose to procreate with. It can show up in how they speak and treat Black women with certain features based off of what personal beliefs they hold about themselves and about Blackness in general. So again, it's not to say that I don't want to be dismissive or act like it's not a possibility. No. I don't believe that Black men hiding their hair when they don't have a fresh lineup is due to anti-Blackness. I again believe that's more about what is a cultural shared belief or feeling about, what a haircut looks like for Black diasporic men. That's more of what I think that it is. You can sort of look into that and see if there is some internalized texturism with that. I remember in the early 2000s, waves were a really big point of interest. There were conventions where guys would do meetups, and then they would unveil their waves on each other, rather to each other. And if you had, a better wave pattern than someone else, you were told you were slimming, all this other stuff. I remember being on Twitter back in the early 2010s and coming across those videos. Again, I don't know if that's directly correlated to texturism, and more so about a shared cultural experience. I can't say, 100% I can't say. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this topic. Get below, tell me what you think. What are your thoughts? What are your experiences if you are a Black man and you have gone through texturism and cycled through to the other side, and you had to basically go on your version of a natural hair journey? Let me know. Get below in the comments. Please make sure you like this video and subscribe. I've noticed I have a lot of engagement from people who are not subscribed, but that return to watch my videos. So subscribe, click around. We could be friends. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.